you mentioned, Dylan, about shining the light on some of these individuals who choose to be willfully ignorant or choose to throw on the blindfold and act as if they, you know, like see no evil, hear no evil. Why do you feel that it hasn't been a collective? As Fanon talks about the floodlights of history. Why do you feel like those lights haven't been shown, and why are people so politically correct when the politics aren't correct?
Because the people I'm talking about believe they're fucking individual. They believe they're individuals. They think about themselves as individuals, and this turns into a form of political practice which is deeply neoliberal, and which couches itself oftentimes in the terms of Black liberation, of feminism, of etc. Right, like all different forms of kind of liberation and progressive and transformative politics, but they are couched as individual therapeutic approaches to the world. And among academics in particular, there's a market for that. Right. And I mean, yeah, go ahead, Joy.
No, but thank you, Dylan. Like, we're all in the flow here. It's what Dylan said. They see themselves as individuals, but it's also what he said earlier. They see themselves as good individuals who earn that money. And I'm like, nah, you didn't. But it's kind of like it becomes proprietary, and then it becomes part of their identity matrix. So the humility doesn't exist for a conversation, because then you're seen as just attacking them. Like, I've had like weird, like, not to personalize stuff, but it gets really weird when they want to discredit a critique as an attack. Like, because then they personalize it. Right. Like, oh, you're just doing it because you're a hater, or you're used to like this person, now you don't like them, or you're not part of the room, or nobody likes you. I mean, it's like, oh my God, how often at my age do I have to repeat junior high, right? But it's like constant. It's like, oh, please, can we move to the next level? It doesn't go to the next level because the next level would be guerrilla intellectualism. It'd be like, stop playing around. Tell me what the possibilities are for socialism, communism, Marxist analysis, anti-war struggle, right? Hooking up with pods and peoples in other countries, international political imprisonment. What are we supposed to be doing with that? Militarism. Eric Prince has a private mercenary army. He built into a multi-billion-dollar thing. And his sister, Betsy DeVos, was screwing around in the academy, in education, jacking that up. Like, do we have any plans? No, because I'm a virtuous person, because I get to talk about trauma and bad things happen. And, I'm trying not to be snarky. It's just, no, I'm not trying that hard not to be snarky.
Don't even try. Welcome home. Come on.
Thank you. It's just like, okay, stop already, because, you wouldn't, if your kids were talking like this, you would like go to your room or go watch something on TV. Just stop bothering me with this stuff, right? But like, you have to hear it from your peers. Right. And then if you don't, like with Dylan, if you're in the room and you say, how about like one thing? I mean, my whole thing is like, well, what if we occupied it and turned into a daycare? But truly, you don't want cribs in a prison precinct. It's just bad vibes in the wall. So I just think of it, if you were thinking about environmental pollution and you had a sewage plant that was polluting the water, you would definitely dismantle that thing, right? Mm-hmm. So like, think of this as social, emotional, physical pollution, and figure out how this is the thing, like how we would provide our security for our community. See, nobody wants that much work. That's why they can play around. And so you defer to the state. I mean, I've said this before, like I grew up with these people. They have contempt for the citizenry and civilians because they won't deal with violence. So we're a joke to them. Right. I mean, the ones who take it seriously, then we're on their list for them to like, oh, we need to watch this one, see what we can do when we can, like, break their kneecaps in some form or fashion. But the people who are the pundits fear violence So they embed in the state. And I don't care what they say they're doing. They don't want to walk the line. Like, I'm not a revolutionary, I'm not a rebel, but I understand there's a line. And so, I'll inch closer to the line. And the last thing, from Kalonji, I mean, I kind of didn't want to come on today, right? It's like I'm like sad and weepy, and I'm tired of quote losing, whatever that means. I didn't personally know him, but then once you talk to somebody, it gets personal. And even if you don't, it's still personal. And so I'm grateful for both of you and for Suni and for everybody out there who actually cares, because that makes me stronger.
Right on. Definitely.
Can I do something that's totally counterintuitive and against my spirit, but which I feel like I need to do? I want to say something to, McEntee's family, which is, I urge you to not think about the death of your loved one as the result of an individual act. Please, if this message somehow gets to them or through somebody else, I feel, and so it's not even about forgiveness. It's just about feel the way you need to feel, but
Right.
just have a take that does not reduce this to an individual act. So I said it like, that's my act of generosity to the side that wants people dead and probably wants the three of us dead. And if I can, I want to add to what Joy just said, which is some people in the positions that the three of us are adjacent to and maybe also inhabit are decently situated to move against the disciplinary and violent structures of respectability that accomplish so much of the reactionary and repressive liberal bullshit that we are talking about here. I feel like respectability is something that permeates communities and collectives of people who otherwise identify as radical or even revolutionary, right? There's a certain way that you were supposed to be, certain things you are not supposed to do. So I find that respectability actually should be one of the strategic targets of destruction, which leads to my second point, which I feel like I have to emphasize in every platform or room or collective I'm part of, which is I'm concerned that there in recent times that among the people who I consider to be my partners in struggle, my comrades in struggle, including us, that we might tend to overemphasize transformative possibility, futurity, creativity, and making. And there's no such thing as overemphasizing it, right? But what I really mean is that there's a tend to talk about those things at the expense of talking about the complexity and the creativity and the necessity of destruction. I feel like there's a way in which our folks, however you interpret my saying that, have gone the other way from talking about the necessity and complexity, and for that matter, the creative possibilities that are not just opened up by destruction, but that are already present in destruction. And I come to this point through communities of radical artists, by the way, right, who remind me that in the process of making art in whatever form, whether it's performance art, material art, visual art, or something else, right? They're the ones who encouraged me to talk about this more, because they said within the process of creativity, we destroy shit all the time. That's right? We could not do what we do without destruction. And so there's no reason to not talk about that stuff as central to world making. Especially if you're talking about liberatory and revolutionary world making, destruction is central to that. And that's what I mean when I talk about celebrating a police station burning, right? I feel like my lane maybe, I'm not to individualize myself, but like maybe when I say my interpreters, some of us maybe have the lane of talking about that, celebrating the complexity and beauty and the creativity that's already present in those acts of destruction, and have that happening in a productive tension or dialogue with the things Joy said, right? Like what happens once the rubble has settled, once the smoke has cleared, those things need to be happening together in tension simultaneously all the time. We need to be arguing and debating that stuff. We need to be doing it, long live Kevin Johnson. Like we need to be doing it in moments like this. So we're not just talking about, So we're not limited to abolishing the death penalty, for example, right?